Oh, another piece of information that I just wanted you all to know, chat. Socialist Bolivia has the lowest inflation rate in the world. You heard that right. Socialist Bolivia has the lowest inflation rate in the world. You know another country with a really low inflation rate? China. They're fourth from the bottom. You know what has a terrible inflation rate? Turkey. Is that the country with the podcast looking ass president? No, that's Chile. That's Chile. Meanwhile, in America, we'll probably do that Amy Coney Barrett story tomorrow or Wednesday, chat. Biden wants to get out more, seething as his standing is now worse than Trump's. We predicted this. I predicted this a while ago, chat. I was like, it's only a matter of time. He's going to do nothing, and then he's going to become more unpopular with Trump, and then he's going to punch and blame the left. Even though the left tried their hardest to get his agenda done, instead of pointing his finger at Joe Manchin, pointing his finger at Kirsten Sinema, he's going to punch left. Frustrations are mounting, and the window for political revival is closing. Remember how I told you last summer that this was the end of the... Do you guys remember this? Last summer, I said, this is the last shot we have for meaningful change. Do you remember that, chat? Do you remember that? And everybody was like, what? This is like 6 months in. I said, this is it. This is it. If he doesn't do something now, and he doesn't do something big, it's over. And then they went on vacation for a fucking month. Here we are. It's June. And they're saying that the window for political revival is closing. Closed a year ago. You did, and some people were fighting you on it, and you were right. Yes, that was Hutch. That was all these other libs. Do they even talk about politics anymore? Or is it all like interpersonal squabbles? Are they back on video games? When I said, hey, we'll see if they pass Build Back Better. We'll see. Remember all that? Yeah. I guess that politics is just too frustrating. They're tired of paying attention to it. You also learned about external events that could change priorities in politics? Yep. Remember that? When they framed it as a given that Build Back Better would pass. Yep. I know. Being right, obviously, is not the most important thing in this business. What's most important is how you present yourself and how you are present and perceived. Being correct, being right about your analysis is actually not important because everybody gets things wrong from time to time. And so if somebody can elevate your mistakes and ignore all your successes and ignore all their successes and elevate their correct calls, they're going to look smart. It's all marketing. That's the thing that's most important. Thankfully, there's some people that are worth a damn that are doing well, like Hasan. It's also internal bad faith actors. The PSU in Venezuela says we're a socialist party running a capitalist country, and that's pretty much true. They're not exactly good faith actors themselves, but anything outside their control is undermining their success with CIA assistance. Let me just say that Venezuela is almost, I'd say the problems with Venezuela are 95% external. And there is 5% that it's corruption and bad, but that is fomented most primarily by the US and the CIA directly, and the sanctions of Venezuela and the controls. They just got approved to be able to sell oil to Europe again this week. A sovereign country is being approved to sell their own natural product to another sovereign country. Why does the US get to determine whether Venezuela sells oil? It's fucking batshit. He's playing COD and saying we need to appease Manchin or he will turn Republican. Chat, they appeased Manchin. They were pathetically subservient to Manchin. Look at this. I had a productive call with Speaker Pelosi and Majority Leader Schumer today. I briefed them on the most recent discussions that my staff and I have held with Senator Manchin about Build Back Better. In these discussions, Senator Manchin has reiterated his support for Build Back Better funding at the level of the framework plan I announced in September. I believe that we will bridge our differences and advance the Build Back Better plan, even in the face of fierce Republican opposition. My team and I are having ongoing discussions with Senator Manchin that work will continue next week. It takes time to finalize these agreements, prepare the legislative changes, and finish all our parliamentary and procedural steps needed to enable a Senate vote. This is all bullshit, by the way. You can do it in a day. We will advance this work together over the days and weeks ahead. Leader Schumer and I are determined to see the bill successfully on the floor as early as possible. Build Back Better is urgently needed to lower the cost of prescription drugs, healthcare, childcare, and elder care. Notwithstanding the unrelenting Republican obstruction, not a single Republican is willing to move forward on the bill. I am determined to see this bill enacted into law, Americans' families, and giving the Americans' families the breathing room they need. That was the announcement. Here was Manchin's response to that announcement. Manchin texted Steve Ricchetti, one of the president's top aides. Steve, the statement you all put out targeting me and my family was unconscionable and extremely dangerous. There will be no further negotiations. Manchin allies say his reaction was driven in part by the number of credible threats at the time to his and his family's safety. What are you talking about? They said they're working with Manchin and that he was reasonable. And he said, I'm not negotiating with you. How much more can they kowtow to him? Who cares if he switches to Republican? Switch! Switch! Oh, Mike, we might not get a district judge. Oh, no! Fucking switch. President Joe Biden and his aides have grown increasingly frustrated by their inability to turn the tide against a cascade of challenges threatening to overwhelm the administration: soaring global inflation, rising fuel prices, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, a Supreme Court poised to take away a constitutional right, a potentially resurgent pandemic, a Congress too deadlocked to tackle sweeping gun safety legislation, even amid an onslaught of mass shootings. Why is it deadlocked? Because Democrats uphold the filibuster, and Joe Biden will not come out against it. You can't say it's gridlocked when you support gridlock. You can't blame gridlock unless you want to get rid of the gridlock. He doesn't. He thinks the gridlock is good. Well, where's the proof? You said that the gridlock makes the parties work together. What's the proof? But he still won't say a goddamn fucking thing. He's a complete, utter loser. In crisis after crisis, the White House has found itself either limited or helpless. Why do you think people hate you? You fucking loser. You are hateable. I strongly disapprove of Joe Biden, and I think you should too. Morale inside 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is plummeting amid growing fears that the parallels to Jimmy Carter, another first-term Democrat plagued by soaring prices and foreign policy morass, will stick. Well, are you ending sanctions against Venezuela? Are you pressuring Saudi Arabia to pump more oil? Are you investing billions in renewable energy? You're doing none of those things? You're not normalizing relations with Cuba and Venezuela to get access to oil? You're not urging Russia to sign a peace treaty with Ukraine? Wait, you're funding the war so it drags on more? What do you expect? A Republican is going to come into office, end the war in Ukraine, and then instantaneously have a price crash of food and oil and immediately get 60% approval because they do one fucking thing. It's something that has bedeviled quite a few previous presidents. Lots of things happen on your watch, but it doesn't mean there's a magic wand to fix it. When you help the Ukrainians fight a longer war, whether you agree with it or not, that's what's happening. The United States of America is providing arms and material and equipment and assistance to prolong the war in Ukraine and is taking a hard line against Russia. Russia is a major supplier of food and fuel. When you play the hard line, we pay the consequences. Earlier, a month ago, Biden said America wants to pay the consequences to fight Russia. I was told that we would like paying higher prices for food and fuel. Hey, majority reporters. We're talking about Joe Biden being more unpopular than Trump. I was told we would like paying $7 a gallon for gas. I was told we would like to have our grocery budgets double. Grocery prices double. I was told we like when housing prices go up 25% in a year. We showed you in China, they have the fifth lowest recession. Look at inflation. What countries are running well? What countries have their shit together? China, Bolivia, Socialist Party. China, Vietnam. The United States of America is dog shit with our inflation. It's not done this already. Can you please remind Californians to drop off their ballots in the mailbox today? Tomorrow is the last day. I've been distracted today and missed large chunks of the show. Yeah, everybody vote. Obviously, vote in California. Vote if you're in LA, vote against the fucking billionaire. Shocking that saying you're going to do unpopular things and then mostly failing to do them is not as bad as saying you're going to do largely popular things and mostly failing to do them. Of course, Trump was more popular. The limits of the presidency are not well grasped. The limits of the presidency have not been reached by Joe Biden. You know how you know you've reached the limit of the presidency? The Republicans are saying that you are doing, you're being an imperial president when the Supreme Court is overturning your executive orders and you're saying to get bent. Joe Biden hasn't done shit. We have what's known as the day one agenda from the American Prospect. There's 110. They had highlighted 110 executive actions that Joe Biden could do. He's done 22. Don't tell me he's run up when he's done all 110 to the maximum possible degree. Then he's run up to the extent of the presidency. He hasn't done that. Don't tell me he's done everything he can do when we know he hasn't. We're not stupid. Well, most of the readers of the Politico are, but we're not. The responsibility of the president is greater than the tools he has to fix it. Absolute bunk. Absolute bunk. He sat in the White House. He's a loser. He was picked because people were anti-Trump. He barely won because the right was fired up for their guy. And the right is fired up. And they're going to come out and they're going to annihilate And our only hope is if we have people who can survive. Our only hope is we have people that can survive separate and apart as their own brand, like John Fetterman in Pennsylvania. This is what a leader looks like, chat.
Pennsylvania is the only northeastern state now that currently bans same-sex marriage.
John Fetterman is taking another stand, this time ignoring state law and marrying a same-sex couple.
Last night in Mayor John Fetterman's living room, surrounded by family and friends, the two said, "I do." John Condrey and Bill Gray have waited more than a decade for this, to be recognized as a married couple and have the paper to prove it.
I felt the way they did. The sooner the better. My goodness, they've waited 11 years. They've been together that long, so why wait any longer?
The Braddock mayor says he'd do it again and hopes Pennsylvania will soon see change.
I've had to correct myself like a bunch of times today because I'm so used to saying my partner, and I'm like, wait a minute, my husband. It feels like equal, like we're equal. We're just as good as everyone else. Our love is just as good as everyone else's.
Our only shot is leaders like John. Our only shot. What a fucking loser. The West Wing believes there is still time for a course correction. Let me guess, chat. Turn the racism dial. Be harder on immigrants. Cut the deficit. Cut taxes on the rich. I hope you don't have a free-floating interest rate because they're going to raise interest on you. The plan is to put Biden on the road to highlight... Oh! He's going to be greeted by protests! He's going to get fucking destroyed. He isn't a campaigner! He sat in his fucking house the whole presidential campaign because of COVID. He sat in the basement. He did like 3 speeches. He's not a campaigner. He's going to go out there and his approval rating's going to dip. The more people see Biden, the more they're going to be like, fuck, he's old.
That's crack.
Biden doesn't even sit at the White House. He goes home to Delaware to take a nap every weekend. Remember when liberals were pissing and shitting about Trump golfing with congressional and world leaders? I
mean, obviously the golf was pathetic. Trump's a fucking loser too, but Biden's notoriously lazy. I mean, look at this. Biden is lazy. Biden's laid-back style helped him win the White House. That's how CNN spins it. Obviously, right-wing link sites. Biden's laid-back style helped him win the White House, but may be starting to wear thin. AKA, he's a lazy sack of shit. Career politician loser fuck. With the visits to California, where he presided over a summit of Western Hemisphere allies, where he is denying a bunch of people, and Mexico is not going to go. Because Biden is a warmongering psychopath. The president of Mexico, Almo, said he would not attend the Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles after news emerged that the United States would not invite Cuba, Venezuela, or Nicaragua to the meeting. Great job. Great fucking job, Joe. You're ruining our relations with Mexico. Good fucking job, you incompetent buffoon. And instead of taking this time to foment peace, we got the war candidate. Thank God I voted for the warmongering Democrat. Joe Biden is a terrible president. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't want to be this way. When we were talking about Build Back Better back in March, April, May of 2021, I was like, wow, this is great stuff. When they passed the child tax credit, I was like, wow, this would be an amazing achievement if they make it permanent. They turned down Mitt Romney's fucking compromise to make the child tax credit permanent. They did a plan that was to the right of Mitt Romney, and then they let it lapse. And you're telling me we can't do anything? Fucking loser party. They deserve to lose. Republicans came out in favor of a $12 minimum wage, $10 minimum wage. They didn't take the compromise, didn't raise the minimum wage. Fucking losers. They can't even work across the aisle. Maybe Bernie Sanders wouldn't have got a $15 minimum wage, but he would have gotten something. Joe Biden has gotten us fuck all. What a loser. Worst president of our lifetime, unequivocally. Without a doubt, of all presidents with a trifecta, he has delivered the least for his base. A complete cuck. Total loser. Total fucking loser. 48% of families with kids can no longer afford enough food 5 months after child tax credit ended. He should be in prison. Joe Biden should be in prison for this crime. But hey, I'm sorry, that might be too radical. I'm sorry, it's too radical. Why is his approval rating going down? The administration will also set aside its reluctance to work with a pariah nation in hopes to support oil production. And it hopes to sharpen its attacks on Republicans, aiming to paint the GOP as out of touch with mainstream America on issues like gun safety and abortion. It's like they want to lose. The GOP will just go out, pander to their base, and then talk about inflation. The Republicans are fucked. These are wedge issues. This is not what's going to swing the middle. This is not what's going to make young people come out. I'm sorry, it's not. They're going to lose. Upcoming January 6th congressional hearings. Dude, that was almost 2 years ago. Nobody cares. We've heard about it enough. Yes, they committed crimes. Why didn't you indict them at the time? Why'd you wait 2 years? I'm sorry, man. That lemon doesn't have any more juice. This is a this is loser shit. I'm sorry, folks. This is loser shit. I can't believe this is their actual fucking plan. My new Jacobin just came in the mail. Nice. But first aides need to quell finger pointing that's been erupting internally. Democrats close to the administration not authorized to publicly discuss the internal conversation. They also increasingly have tried to soothe the greatest source of West Wing frustration. Coming from behind the Resolute desk, the president has expressed exasperation that his poll numbers have sunk below those of Donald Trump, who Biden refers to as private as the worst president in history. Hey, motherfucker, that's you. You are America's James Buchanan. Republicans are setting up to fucking steal the next election, and you did fuck all to pass voting rights. You're a loser! Thank God people think you're from Delaware, not Pennsylvania. Jesus. Far more prone to salty language behind the scenes than popularly known, Biden recently erupted over being kept out of the loop about the direness of the baby formula shortage. He voices frustration in a series of phone calls to allies, his complaints triggered by heart-wrenching cable news coverage of young mothers crying in fear they could not feed their children. Therefore, when aides convened a meeting with formula company executives, the president, against the advice of his staffers, publicly declared it took weeks before the details of the shortage had reached him, even though the whistleblower complaint had led to the shutdown of a major production facility was issued months ago. Some aides feared the moment made Biden look out of touch, especially after the CEOs of the very same meeting made clear that warnings of the shortage were known for some time. Hey, you know what he should have done? He should have grabbed the Abbott CEO by the neck and said, "Today I'm directing my attorney general to investigate this man for the criminal poisoning of children. You are going to face criminal homicide, corporate homicide charges. You are." That would have made people sit up and fucking clap. But he's a pussy. That's the reality. This man right here, and that guy would have gotten up, turned white, left the fucking room. That would have been a fucking meme. That would have said, wow, Joe Biden's standing up. And then said, I'm immediately importing formula from all of our allies. And the other formula executives would have been in the room and he said, I don't care if you guys, corporate profits go down. We're feeding the kids because of your criminality. But he hasn't had the balls to do a goddamn fucking thing. That's why he's a loser. Now, would he have succeeded at the end of the day? Would the corporate homicide have gotten a conviction? Who fucking knows? But at least he would have shown some resolute backbone about a problem. He legitimately does nothing. Holy shit, he isn't even in the loop. What a loser. I've complained that West Wing staff have managed Biden with kid gloves, not putting him on the road more because he can't talk. He is a drooling, decrepit, elderly man who rambles about how his leg hair turned blonde in the sun. We know what he sounds like. The more he talks, the more he's disliked. And the more disconcerting it is that a man that old is our president. You want to be honest? Put him on the road more. He'll go below 30% approval. He's a demented old man, despised by young people, because he should be. One person close to the president pushed for more let Biden be Biden moments. What, so he could tell everybody how he doesn't sympathize with young people with student debt? He can go out there and his veneer can fly off or his eye can pop a vessel and start bleeding. What the fuck are you talking about? I guess I watched more Biden than almost anybody in the media because when he goes out, I literally have to turn up his speaking to 1.15 speed or higher so that he sounds like a normal human. I'm sorry if you like Biden, I apologize, Majority Report liberals, but he is dog shit and he's leading our country off a fucking cliff. And I'm not going to be quiet about it. The White House pointed to both security and COVID concerns and restricted the travel of the 79-year-old president. Security concerns. You're 80. You're 80 years old. You've lived a long life. Take some risks, you fucking loser. A lot of things are out of his control. We are frustrated that all Democrats, not just the White House, need to do a better job reminding Americans how terrible it would be if Republicans take control. They're literally just going to try to run on Republicans are worse. Yeah, we suck, but Republicans are worse. Good luck with that, moron. All Republicans will have to do is come out and say, hey, when we were president, gas was $3 a gallon. At least you could afford food. Yeah, We have some bad takes on stuff that you don't agree with, but at least you could survive. And the Democrats will lose horrifically badly because they have no fucking plan. While Biden is undoubtedly loyal to his small inner circle of advisors, whisper the building have built over whether the return of Anita Dunn could portend her eventually seceding Ron Klain. They're going to introduce Anita Dunn, who worked as a PR flack for Harvey Weinstein. That's the level of crisis we are. We've got a Harvey Weinstein for a president. I mean, there is no bottom for the Democratic Party. Look at these cucks. Can you imagine Donald Trump participate in the unveiling of a postage stamp for Michelle Obama? These fucking cucks. And this is Pride Month. Also, she's bejeweled. She's got, what is that, 5 strands of pearls? Are you fucking kidding me? Frustrated that the GOP has not been called to task for releasing a few policy ideas of its own, Biden has gone hard after a tax plan put up by Rick Scott. No one fucking cares. He has also signaled in his Thursday evening speech that he knows Congress at most will pass small measures on firearms that will leave much of his party dissatisfied. How about you do the things you can do to leave the party satisfied? How about you forgive student loan debt? How about you do something? Legalize marijuana. Give people something positive where you can go, listen, the things where Biden has the power, he's done everything he can do. We need to give him more people in Congress to help him out because he's doing so many popular things. Instead of, I do nothing because he just doesn't want to. Maureen says, piece of candy, I went out to run errands and some kids were protesting for free Palestine from the local high school. Damn, that's based. And while Biden has received high marks for holding together an alliance to stand up to Russia in the wake of its invasion of Ukraine, voters this fall will likely care far more about some of the war's aftershocks. Its further stranded supply chains has only added to rising inflation. And most painfully for the White House, soaring gas prices. You said you were okay with that. Wouldn't Biden legalizing marijuana not work since Title 42 was upheld by the Supreme Court? It literally is in the law that the executive branch determines the scheduling of controlled substances. He could just have the DEA legalize marijuana or deschedule it. For nearly a month, Biden's inner circle have agonized over whether to make a trip to Saudi Arabia. Deemed a pariah after its crown prince ordered the murder of a dismemberment of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Biden, for a time, angrily rejected meeting with the crown prince, argued that the presidency should stand for something. But he has relented, recognizing a need to push Riyadh for more oil production. George H.W. Bush and especially Carter were felled by shaking economies and rising inflation. Douglas Brinkley, presidential historian at Rice University, he can't just be mourner-in-chief. He can't just play defense. He needs to be on offense and convince Americans that despite the challenges, better days are ahead. Elon Musk is trying to walk away from buying Twitter. This as a piece of candy. I hope you were not turned off by me being too mad at Joe Biden, but he sucks so bad, man. I don't know what to tell you. Are you watching the stream unsubbed? You're making income inequality worse. You are doing anti-praxis. We are the only Twitch stream that will not accept scam advertisers, and I will never fuck you over by selling you crap.